All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today is today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. You are now watching Permission to Exist. I am your host, Permission to Exist, also known as PTE. And welcome to the show. Happy August to all of you. It's been a while. Well, not really, actually. It's only been about 2 weeks since our last show. Hey, Jam and Berries, welcome, and welcome to everyone else as you fill in to the show. So, we have a very interesting topic tonight, one that I'm sure is going to upset a lot of people. And I want to assure you that my intention is actually not to upset anyone. My intention is to explain something that happened on Twitter. And I thought about it and I thought this is going to make a very, very good show. It's going to open up a lot of discussion. And I think it might pave the way for a greater discussion about our society in general. So, welcome. So, right out the gate, I want to go ahead and, oh, actually, hold on. I always need to do this part. I want to thank everyone who supports the channel, be that Cash App, Patreon, Super Chatting, liking, commenting, or subscribing to the channel. FYI, I am probably about to shut Patreon down. So, those of you who are members, if you want to go ahead and cancel, that's fine. I just say that so no one new joins because I'm probably getting ready to close it. All right. Because they're becoming too much of a surveillance state, but that's a different topic for a different day and a different show, also. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. And thank you to those of you who have supported the channel all this time. I really, really appreciate it. So, tonight's topic, why I no longer give homeless men money. And I know people struggle a lot with words, so I want to make sure you're not interpreting the word men as people or the word men as women. Specifically, tonight's show is why I no longer give homeless men, males, male children, boy children money. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And even with me saying that, I already know that people are going to walk away and think two things. Permission to Exist hates men, and she's an elitist who hates homeless people. No matter what I say, no matter how well I lay out my case, those are going to be the two things that people walk away thinking. And I'll probably lose subscribers over it. And I'm actually okay with that because I can't make things any more clear. So if you reject clarity, that's really your issue, not mine. Tonight's show is called Why I No Longer Give Homeless Men, Males, Male Children Money. So I want to show you where this all started and where the idea for this show came from, okay? I was on Twitter the other day, just scrolling like I normally do, and I came across a post, and the post was by someone named Cece, and they wrote, after I learned how often homeless women are getting graped, I stopped giving money to homeless men. That was the original post. Okay. I replied, myself and almost 800 other people replied to this post, but my reply said, good. I stopped giving money to homeless men because he has failed in a society designed expressly for his success. He also has more employment options, even as a homeless person. And finally, if the situation were reversed, he would probably drive right by me. That was my reply. And so far, it has 2.1 thousand likes, 75 bookmarks, and 24 comments, and 73 reposts. So it really struck a chord with people. And I wasn't expecting that because I leave comments on Twitter all the time. And sometimes they get a little traction here and there. But this one really, really struck a chord with people. And I found that unusual. I was like, oh, wow, this topic is really resonating with people, good or bad, right? So, what I want to do first is I want to go through this thread and I want to show you some of the comments on my comment and some of my replies to those comments. And then we're actually going to get a little bit deeper into the show, okay? So, welcome to everyone as you filter in. It's great to have you. And shout out to those of you who are male watchers of this channel who actually stick around after this video. I'll have a lot of respect for you because it'll show me that you're actually capable of hearing someone out and reacting based on everything they said, not just your triggers. So shout out to you if you make it through the show. Okay? So again, my reply to after I learned how often homeless women are graped, I stopped giving money to homeless men. I replied, good. I stopped giving money to homeless men because he has failed in a society designed expressly for his success. He also has more employment options, even as a homeless person. And finally, if the situation were reversed, he would probably drive right by me. So this really set a lot of people off. A lot of people. And we're going to look at some of the comments that were left under my comment. So the first one by somebody named Dammy19XX wrote, in this imaginary world of dumb bitches, you must be the queen. To which I replied, I ran out of space on my original tweet, but this would be another reason I don't give homeless men money. Many are hateful just like you, and that hatefulness has contributed to their homelessness. Guaranteed. Now, he deleted his reply to me, which is where my reply comes from, where I wrote, you don't have to imagine it, beloved. Because basically what he said was, I can't imagine that there are people this stupid in the world. And I told him, you don't have to imagine it, beloved. He deleted it. And then he left this one that says, I know people who think like you are actually a reality. So you started off by calling me a dumb bitch and the queen of the dumb bitches. And then when I said many are hateful just like you, and that's why you end up homeless, guaranteed, he wants to delete the reply that he left to me. And I didn't grab a screenshot because I didn't think he would be so cowardly as to delete it, but it's gone. But part of what his comment said was, I can't imagine that there are people as dumb as you. So then I said, you don't have to imagine it, beloved, basically implying that he's one of the people that he can't imagine. And then let's keep going. But I meant it though. So we could pause there and we're actually going to get way deep into this. But, you know, the topic, the original post was homeless women get graped at exceptionally large numbers. And that person decided to no longer give money to homeless men, right? And here you are, a male, calling me a dumb bitch, but you still want me to open up my heart and my wallet to homeless men on the street, knowing that so many of them, not all, but so many men are hateful like this and mean and callous and cruel. But you still want us to give you our money, right? So let's keep going. This person said, designed for his success, how? I didn't reply because I don't have time to give history lessons. I don't have time in an age of Google, Chat GPT, a million other AI bots, books, encyclopedias, libraries. I don't have time to give you history lessons on patriarchy and how this whole entire world is set up and structured for the success of the male. I don't have time to enlighten you, but the fact that this person doesn't know just kind of contributes to the overall reason. They don't even see how good they have it. They don't even recognize that this world has actually been set up for male success. The fact that for years, for centuries really, women had to fight for basic rights like the right to vote, the right to own a home in her name, the right to have a bank account without a husband attached to it, things of that nature, the right to her children. If I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day, if a woman broke up with her husband or left her husband, the husband got automatic custody of the children. I could be wrong about that, but I do believe that that is correct. Okay. So, in a world where women have had to fight for the same basic human rights as males, what do you mean designed for his success? How? I'm not explaining that to you. I'm sorry. I don't have time. So let's keep going. The next reply to my reply was, quote, he'd probably drive right by me, end quote. So we have the hypothetical you created and then your real actions in the world. Homeless people do not have employment options at all. Society is not designed for random men's success. It's designed for a specific type of man's success. First, he said homeless people do not have employment options at all. I'm talking about homeless men, men who can walk up to the back of a McDonald's or a Wendy's and say, "Hey, let me just take the trash out for you for a couple dollars." Men who can go to some of these non franchised gas stations and say, "Hey, let me mop your floors, man, just for $20 a day. Let me mop your floors. Let me clean the parking lot." And they do it. You see them all the time. You just don't realize what you're looking at. When you go to visit the gas station, sometimes you might notice a guy who's not that he's never behind the cash register, but he's in the store. He's mopping. He's picking up trash. He might be stocking shelves. He might be in the parking lot taking the trash bags out and putting new trash bags in. And if you're not paying attention, or if you don't have high discernment, you won't realize that this is just some guy that they gave a little job so he could put a little bit of money in his pocket. And he's more than likely homeless, right? So that's what I mean by more employment options. He can go somewhere and offer himself up, and they'll just give him a job just to throw some money at him and put a little bit of money in his pocket. Dirty jobs that no one else wants, dangerous jobs that women really shouldn't be doing. He can do that. He can volunteer himself for that. But we'll get there. We're going to get there. Okay. We're getting deep. Right now, all we're doing is reviewing the Twitter thread that sparked this particular show. Okay. Then we have a comment from a woman that says, oh, wait, hold on. Don't want to skip this. How is society designed for a colored man's success? So now, once again, we are drifting from my original comment, and they've forgotten the other comment altogether. Notice how none of them, as we go through this, pay attention to how none of them bring up the original comment, which was, I stopped giving homeless men money when I found out how often homeless women are raped. That was the comment that I was replying to. None of them bring it up. It doesn't come up at all. And you'll see that. But anyway, how is society designed for a colored man's success? Well, woe is me. Once again, here we go. I'm colored. Pity me. No, you're a man. It still doesn't matter. And if we want to play this race game and this race hierarchy, it goes white man, black man, white woman, black woman. And I'm not purposely excluding Hispanic and Asian cultures and everyone else in between. These are just the ones that we can't seem to stop arguing about all the time. White and black. Everything is black and white, black and white, black and white, black and white. Fine. In the hierarchy of gender and race, the men will always be on top of the women in our current society. That's how it's been set up for centuries. Even in the most impoverished third world countries that you can find, they still put the man on top of the woman. And in my personal opinion, that's how those countries became third world. But once again, different show, different day. But even in the most impoverished countries in the world, the man is in charge. The man is celebrated. The man is to be above the woman always, and she's to be underfoot, even in poverty. And it's probably the cause of your poverty, but we'll talk about that a different day. So from the richest country in the world to the poorest, you always put the man on top regardless. We're not going to sit here and pretend that, I believe it was China, not Japan, I think it was China, were purposely putting little baby girls in the woods to celebrate and put the male on top. So if a family had one male child, they were good. They didn't even try again for more children, right? And I think they recently allowed them to have more than one baby. And those families were hoping for another boy. But guess what happened? 20 years later, 30 years down the road, now there are too many males in Chinese society. And correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. It could have been Japan. I'm sorry. But I'm pretty sure it was China. Now they've got too many boys. There's not enough women to marry all the young men that are over there because nobody thought long term. Nobody thought if we are killing these baby girls, if we're dumping them in the woods because we don't want female children, Who are all these boys going to marry when they get older? Nobody thought about that. Good God Almighty. This is why the aliens won't visit. This is why they won't come, y'all. As a human animal, as a human species, we're really, really, really stupid. It's like we can't think beyond what's right in front of our face. I could have told you that. When I first learned about that, I think I was in middle school when I first heard about that. And my first question as a 12 or 13-year-old child was, well, who are the boys going to date and marry when they get older? I was a little girl when I had that thought. And y'all, at the time, they were the adults. Y'all didn't have the same thought. But this is what happens when you let men run your society. Anyway, how is society designed for a colored man's success? The same way it's designed for the white male, except, of course, you have the good old boy network to deal with. You do have racism to deal with. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but what I'm saying is, as a man, you have more employment options than a woman does, especially if you actually try, right? But I believe a lot of men, black, white, or otherwise, want things handed to them. They want things to be super easy. They expect for things to be super easy for them. And when they actually have to work for something, they get upset. This is where the stereotype or the trope of the son living in his parents' basement, that's where this comes from. That son who's living in his parents' basement, we could debate and argue about whether or not his parents set him up for success. We really could. But why is it not the daughter living in the parents' basement? Why isn't the trope the girl who won't leave the house, the girl that we can't get out of the house? Our daughter is living in the basement playing video games all day. That's not the stereotype. The stereotype is the basement dwelling son. Why is that? Because men expect everything to be easy for them. They want it handed to them. They feel like if they put in that one job application, they should get the job. They shouldn't have to put in 100 applications like I do every single year. And it's probably more than 100. I haven't counted. I've stopped counting, but I would say on average, I put in about 100 job applications a year or more, which translates to about roughly, give or take, 9 or 10 applications a month, plus or minus, over under. That's about right. About 2 or 3 a week. And don't get callbacks. But the men in my same age or younger or older or whatever, they expect to be given the job just because they asked for it. Do you understand? And sometimes they get it. We'll get into that too. All right. So let's keep going. We're still reviewing the thread on my reply to another tweet. Okay. A woman wrote, I remember last summer, I gave someone the only cash I had in my purse in New York City, a $5 bill. Then he turned around and said, that's all you got? And I said, yep, sorry, it wasn't enough. He said, you ain't got a credit card? Laughing faces. Then she said she hasn't given since. So in other words, this woman gave a man $5 and he said, that's all you got? And she was like, yeah, sorry, it wasn't enough, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit. The fact that she even felt the need to apologize for not having enough money to give him. And then he had the nerve and the audacity and the gall and the entitlement to say, you don't have a credit card? And she said she hasn't given any money since. Okay. This person told me that I'm a piece of shit. This person said, think it through. What lies at the end of this train of thought? And I've been thinking it through and I just haven't found the answer to that question. So moving on. This person said, you're an effing retard if you think this crap. So far, I've been called a dumb bitch, stupid, and effing retard just for saying that I won't give homeless men money. Notice I didn't say women. Anytime I see a homeless woman, if I have it on me to give, I give it to her, period. No questions asked. I don't care if she's strung out on drugs. I don't care if she might be some sort of prostitute reporting back to a pimp, which is quite often the case. You know, she's going to take whatever money she makes on the street and unfortunately go give it to a man. It doesn't matter to me because the possibility that she probably has children somewhere is very high. The possibility that she has been sexually violated out on the streets is very high. All of this is very high. The possibility that the reason she's even on the street is because of a man is very high. So no matter what, I give money to homeless women. I don't even care if she might be a scammer. She might be a scammer. That's possible. I still give it to her because, among other reasons, every time I bless a woman, I get blessed. Can't explain it. Maybe I'll explain it on a deeper PTE, but the short version is every time that I have actively blessed a woman, I get blessed back in return without fail. Without fail. There are some people, I saw this recently. I'm not on TikTok, but I watch TikTok compilations, and they were talking about how giving money to men is actually a curse. Again, different show, different channel. But I can promise you this, every time I blessed a woman, I get blessed back somehow. It always comes back to me every single time. Anyway, moving on. Excuse me. This one says that's honestly a really fair point. Next one, I agree. This is why money shouldn't be given to white women. Want to see? I want to remind everyone, especially those of you who may have missed the first part of the show, we are all responding to this tweet right here. After I learned how often homeless women are raped, I stopped giving money to homeless men. This is the original tweet, and wow, it has 10 million views. Good God. That's a lot. That's a lot of views for a tweet. But somehow we went from homeless women getting raped to, well, then that's why you shouldn't give money to white women. So you see how the mind just constantly reverts to this race thing. So I'm here to say that if it's a woman, I'm going to give money to her. A white woman, a black woman, a Spanish woman, an Asian woman, an old woman, a young woman. If I see a homeless woman, I'm going to give money to her. You want to know why? Because maybe I'm the only person that day who'll give her money without asking for a sexual favor in return. Like, oh yeah, baby, you down on your luck? Well, shoot, I got $20 in my pocket, but you know, you're going to have to do a little something for me. I might be the only person that day who helped her out without asking for anything in return, sexual or otherwise. Here you go. Good luck. Good luck to you. Okay. But they're trying to make this a class race argument and they're drifting further away from the original tweet. So, anyway, this person told me that I got to let that middle school heartbreak go. What? So, because I don't give money to homeless men, I need to let my middle school heartbreak go? Wow. Okay. Another one, you're a fucking idiot. Thanks. Another one, you're projecting hard. Am I? Okay. Another one, by that logic, are you not giving any money to homeless white women? So, again, if you all don't remember what my response was, let me just pull it back up really quick. My response to the original tweet was good. I stopped giving money to homeless men because he has failed in a society designed expressly for his success. He also has more employment options, even as a homeless person. Finally, if the situation were reversed, he would probably drive right by me, and he probably would. Because have you all seen lately how housed men behave? And we're going to get there. I actually responded to that in one of these. So let's get back there. Have you seen the mentality of the well off man lately? Have you listened to these podcasts? Have you been paying attention? Have you been paying attention during the Sick and Dangerous Men series of these housed men wiping their entire families out and then wiping themselves out because they fell on hard times? I know you all heard about the guy who, oh man, that story is complex. So basically, there's a trend going on social media right now where people sit down and they pretend like they're about to give the intro to their Netflix documentary. It's all make believe, right? But they're using real scenarios. Well, one woman sat down and said, come hear my story about how I found out my husband was a PDF file and filed for divorce. And guess what his response was to her posting that? He killed her and himself. So he got caught making out with a 14-year-old girl. And I think he was like a coach or something. His wife found out, filed for divorce, did this social media trend. He saw it, he killed her and himself. Another story recently, a man had a wife, four biological children, and two girls. Well, actually, I don't know if they were both girls, but I know one was a girl that they adopted from China. He lost his sales job. And his response to losing his sales job was to kill his entire family and himself and the dog. I know y'all heard about that. So, this is how housed men behave: men with money, men with homes, men with families and children. So, this is why I don't give money to homeless men. Okay. Because once you get back on your feet, if you fall in hard times again, you're going to wipe out your family and your kids. This society has failed men, but who has set up society? Men. Who makes the majority of the laws in this society? Men. They just outlawed marijuana in Texas to where if you have any marijuana on you at all, you are subject to jail time. Men made that law, not women. Men made that law, putting all these little THC companies out of business overnight because they don't like it. Even though y'all are out here diddling kids, you politicians who are passing laws like this are out here diddling children, but people can't smoke a blunt to get some peace at the end of the night in this great state of Texas. We've never and have yet to have a female president. So theoretically, everything that has happened in the United States, we can lay at the feet of men. It's been nothing but men for over 400 years, or however long the United States, 250, listen, for over 250 years. Man, 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 male after male after male after male after male. And look at your society. You crush women, you crush children, and you crush other men. But men still worship at the feet of men. Oh, it's fascinating. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's see, where were we? Blah, 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 blah. By this logic, are you not giving any money to homeless white women? So, in other words, what they're saying is we believe white women have an exceptional amount of privilege. So, if a white woman has messed up her life to the point where she's homeless, she shouldn't get money either. You see what I'm saying? So that's their argument. Have yet to address the grape issue. At least a white woman is not graping other women on the street. She might be, maybe she steals from them, maybe not, maybe she scams them out of a little money, maybe not. Maybe she's a junkie, maybe not. Who knows? There's a lot of regular people who are homeless right now. There's a lot of people who have full-time jobs who are homeless right now because the rent is so damn high. Who keeps running the rent up? Men, male investors, male stockholders, males who own 20 houses and then charge rent that is just completely ungodly. It's primarily men. Are there some female landlords? Sure, of course. But it does not compare to how many male landlords there are. So men design societies that kill. And I'm not surprised that there's a lot of men on the street. It doesn't surprise me. We're going to get there too. Someone else, once again, I'm retarded, and they said I'm mentally ill. And then let's see. This one says, stupid, but as an immigrant that's battled houseless life, my mom and ex-wife sabotaged my green card. Other houseless women have been kind and good to me. There's no men's shelters. Gender-based charity is dumb as fuck, is what he said. What surprised me the most about the replies to my reply is that I talk a lot of shit on Twitter, y'all. Like a lot, a lot about a lot of different things. And it doesn't generate this kind of response. But as soon as I suggested that men specifically should not be helped, it set them off. And I actually responded to this person and I said, assuming this is true, you know why there's no men's shelters, right? And the reason is because, for whatever reason, when men get together, they violate each other, We certainly can't shelter them with women and children because even in the midst of their homelessness, they're going to be trying to grape, touch on the kids. They're often quite violent, not always, but often quite violent. So perhaps the people who have tried to prop up men's shelters quickly realize that it's not going to work. It's a bad idea. A man down on his luck is more dangerous than a woman down on her luck, 10 times more dangerous. Let me ask you this. If they suddenly mandated that everyone must take in one homeless person, hypothetically, and let's say they made it law, hypothetically, would you rather take in a homeless woman or a homeless man? And your answer to that question proves my entire point. Okay. Some of you would take in homeless men, though, and good on you. Good luck. Chat says, if you're in 2026 thinking being homeless is related to morality or merit, you're not going to make it. And the thing is, I don't think being homeless is related to morality or merit. If you've been following my channel for any length of time, you know how often I speak out against the system itself. I am fundamentally opposed to the system that has created these circumstances in the first place. And I talk about it all the time, but we'll get there. Ah, look at this charmer. This one says, baby, if you were homeless, I'd definitely let you sleep with me. Well, thanks. Thanks. If I'm a homeless woman down on my luck, I know that I have at least one man who will let me sleep with him. I'm sure that won't have any consequences whatsoever for me. I'm sure I'll be perfectly safe. And then finally, I started raping foids. I don't know what that means. I think it's a slur, though, because she has failed in society designed expressly for her protection. So this male thinks, well, first of all, he started his sentence off by saying he started graping foids, whatever that is, because you grape because she has failed in a society designed expressly for her protection. Well, what a charmer. And while I don't necessarily think they're telling the truth, who knows? Probably is telling the truth. But if he's telling the truth, what he's basically saying is, I started graping homeless females because she failed in a society that's designed for her protection. And how so? Oh, because she was supposed to go get with a man who can protect her from other men. So you get with the dangerous one to protect you from other dangerous ones. How interesting. So I need to seek out the protection of a dangerous creature to protect myself from the other dangerous creatures. That's like me taking a bear into my house, saying I keep the bear in my house to protect me from the bears that are outside, as if the bear in my house is safer than the ones outside. But anyway, it looks like a lot of them deleted their comments because there was another one I was going back and forth with. They deleted it. Where did it go? They deleted them. Let me sort. Let me try sorting again. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just checking to see where the other comment was. They deleted it. I hate when they do that. Why do y'all delete it when I make a good point? Stand on it. Just because I made you think you want to go and delete the comment. Okay, fine. I should have taken screenshots. This is why I take screenshots of everything. All right. So welcome to everyone in the chat. And the topic of tonight's show is why I no longer give money to homeless men. Men, listen to the word, men. But I do give money to homeless women, no matter what. If she's crazy, if she's strung out, if she's a scammer, whatever. If she's crazy and strung out, I can promise you I know how she got there. But anyway, let's clear up a few things. For those of you who I'm sure are probably already upset. I used to give money to anybody. If I saw someone struggling, down on their luck, man or woman, I would give them money. I used to. I absolutely used to. Let me tell you what led to my stoppage of that. The last time I attempted to give a homeless man money, I was going in the gas station. I had just got paid. I had paid all of my bills and I had a little bit of money left over, right? And At that time, I just was feeling very blessed. And then here's this person outside in the cold, kind of sort of in the bushes, clearly unhoused. And I just went in the gas station and bought some gummy bears. So I felt very fortunate. And I was like, you know what? Let me spread the blessing around. I just went in here and bought some gummy bears. This person doesn't even have a house. So I got in my car because I'm not that stupid. I'm not entirely stupid. And I pulled up and I had $5 on me and I handed it out the window. I said, "Here you go." He goes, "Get out of here." I was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Please take it." And he goes, "Get out of here." I was like, "Oh my God." So I drove off. I took off because it actually really scared me because of all the times I've given money to homeless people, I'd never had that type of response. It was usually taken willingly and gladly. And they usually would say, "Thank you. God bless you." And listen, I'm not looking for the thank yous. I'm not looking for the praise or the accolades. It's not what I want. I just didn't expect, "Get out of here." I was like, "Oh my God. Okay. Shit. I'm gone." And I took off. And then it never left me because I was like I thought about it a lot after because I'm like, why was that the reaction? I'm clearly not a threat of any kind. Like this person was bigger than me and male, you know. But I was like, maybe he was embarrassed, you know, maybe he was mad, maybe he was pissed off that he was in that situation, you know. Maybe he had just fallen on a series of hard luck and he just didn't like people seeing him that way. But also, why are you propped up outside of a gas station though? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want people to see you, why are you visible in the line of sight outside of this gas station? But it's neither here nor there. But I really felt bad because I was like, I really wanted to help. Like, that was my objective, to help someone because I felt very blessed and I wanted to share that blessing. I think a lot of times when people either feel blessed or are blessed, I think we feel guilty about it. And I think the guilt is what makes us give quite often because it's like, how can I be okay and you're not okay? It doesn't seem fair. And women, ladies, this is how a lot of us get taken advantage of. It is. Because why do I feel guilty because I went to work and got my little paycheck and paid my bills? Why do I feel guilty about that? But I did because I had gone in to buy something frivolous. I had gone in to buy some gummy bears, and this person doesn't even have a house. So I can share a little bit. But after he ran me off like that and chased me off, I was like, let me not do that anymore. Because, first of all, it's dangerous. You're by yourself. It wasn't the middle of the night, but it was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, which is not early, but it was nighttime. You don't know what's going on with these people. You don't know where their mental state is. Like, if you want to give money, just drive by and drop it on the ground and keep going, right? Don't approach, is what I'm basically saying. So I stopped with the approaches, right? But I want to get into the philosophical reasons that I no longer give homeless men money, men specifically, male children. Okay. I want to start off. Chat says maybe he was possessed. Honey, listen, you never know. You never, 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 never know. That could have been the case. God only knows. But it startled me, and I was like, you need to stop doing that. You do. I want to share something with you. So let me share my screen. This is called The Parable of the Farmer and the Snake. And it reads, a farmer walked through his field one cold winter morning. On the ground lay a snake, stiff and frozen with the cold. The farmer knew how deadly the snake could be, and yet he picked it up and put it in his bosom to warm it back to life. The snake soon revived, and when it had enough strength, bit the man who had been so kind to it. The bite was deadly, and the farmer felt that he must die. As he drew his last breath, he said to those standing around, learn from my fate not to take pity on a scoundrel. And that is the parable of the farmer and the snake. I'm going to leave this up for a split second. I need to take off really quick. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Now, for all those who will see this and interpret it in its most simple form, you think I'm saying homeless people are scoundrels. That's what you're going to think. And it's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the reason I don't give money to homeless men is multifold, and we're about to get into it. Okay. So, the first reason is there's an entitlement issue present with a lot of males. Not all, but quite a few. And it comes out in multiple different ways. Before I get into that, I'm reminded of the increase of sons unaliving their mothers. There was one just recently, just a few days ago. And I think it was because they got in an argument about, I don't know, like him cleaning up his room, or it's usually something so trivial. Like she wants him to get a job, or she wants him to clean up his room, or she wants him to stop disrespecting the home. As soon as she asks him to do something and hold him accountable, his response quite often is to take the life of his own mother, the one who has looked out for him since the day that he was born, because she is now asking him to step up a little bit and either contribute, or a lot of times, from what I know, the parents aren't even asking the sons to contribute financially. They're just saying, hey, do your part, go to school, or get a job, or at least like help out a little bit. Can you cut the grass? Can you wash the dishes? Can you know what I'm saying? Like help clean up. Can you at least clean up your own room? Can you not smoke in the house? Okay, you want to be a smoker, fine, but can you step outside when you want to have your smoke? Can you maybe not have all these random people in my house? Can you imagine that? Being a mom and a dad, or a mom or a dad, whatever combination, you go to work all day and you come home and your 21-year-old son has three or four different people who you've never met in your house, and you're supposed to be okay with that. And they're all up in your kitchen eating your food, running up your electricity, running up your water, probably stealing a little bit here and there, little petty theft here and there. And the mom says, look, you don't have to pay rent, but you can't have all these people in my house like this. And he's so offended that his mother would request anything of him that his response is to kill her. I'm reminded of one case in particular. I think the woman wanted her son to stop playing video games or something like that, and he wouldn't. So she cut the Wi Fi off and he killed her for it. So when I bring up the parable of the snake, this is kind of what I'm alluding to. So you gonna kill me because I want you to get off your video game and maybe go get a job, or at least go to school? Well, how many parents have been like, we'll pay for it. If you enroll in school, we will pay your tuition. We will pay for your books. Anything. Please give us anything to go off of. But what you can't do is just lay around in this house, eat all of our food, keep a dirty room and a dirty bathroom, and dirtying up other parts of the house and not cleaning up behind yourself. You can't violate us when we say we don't want you to smoke in the house. Some parents say you're not allowed to smoke at all. Some parents are like, we don't care if you're a smoker, you just can't do it in the house. Step outside to have your cigarette or your blunt or whatever it is. They ignore that, smoking in the house, just doing whatever they want to do. Meanwhile, typically, the daughters are off in college or off in trade school. Maybe she wants to be a cosmetologist or a nail tech or something like that, or off already working some sort of job. Even if it's a little job, she's off working some type of job. Almost all of the women I know are hustlers. And I don't mean that in the negative context. What I mean is she has a full time job, a part-time job, and a side hustle. These are the women that I know. The men that I know typically just have one job. That's it. And what do they do with the money from that one job quite often? They love to gamble it on all these different little gambling apps that I believe them taking the regulations off of that was a huge mistake because these young men are losing everything, you guys. First of all, they have $20,000 to lose. I have never in my entire life had $20,000 cash liquid at the same time that I could afford to lose ever. But somehow these boys have $20,000 saved up. How? I was thinking about that too, because they don't have to buy things like bras. They don't have to buy things like menstrual products. They have to do their hair, but it's minimal. Most of them just kind of cut it off. They go to the barber. I know barbers are starting to charge more, but at least back in the day, you could go to the barber for $20. Whereas the woman has to go buy, if she's doing it herself, she has to go buy all the products, all the tools, the shampoos, the conditioners, whatever it is that she uses to do her hair. She has to go do all that. Women have an expectation of beauty, so she has to go buy makeup. I mean, she doesn't have to, but understand that once she takes the makeup off, these same men will then look down upon her. They claim they want a natural bare face. They do not. They don't, honey. They don't. They like a little makeup. And also, a lot of them don't realize that a lot of the natural bare-faced women that you think are bare-faced actually have a ton of makeup on. You just can't tell because she's very good at it. I laugh. This is just a one-off. But when I sincerely do my makeup, I always laugh once I look into the mirror or look into the camera, mainly the camera, because the camera subtracts. So I'll have on eyebrows, I'll line my eyes, I'll put on lashes, some blush, foundation, concealer, and I'm like, boom, I killed it. I did that. Then I go get into the Zoom camera. I'm like, wow, it looks like you don't have on an ounce of makeup at all. All this makeup I just put on my face, and the camera is making it seem like I haven't done anything. So I say that to say a lot of these girls that you think are barefaced actually have on a ton of makeup. I bet people see me on Zoom camera sometimes and they go, wow, she doesn't wear makeup. Interesting. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I just spent 30 minutes doing this and it doesn't even look like it. Perfect. Awesome. But anyway, um, I'm just trying to think through all the different reasons these men even have this much money at such a young age. But it doesn't matter because then they go on these gambling apps and they lose it all, y'all. They gamble their money away. They give their money away to different porn websites and OnlyFans. They give it willingly too. They go to strip clubs and throw all their money at the strippers and then spend all their money on alcohol, right? They may or may not develop a drug problem. So, meanwhile, the daughter is in college trying to get her degree so she can hope to get a job, right? So, there's a lot of entitlement present. And the entitlement is the world should take care of me. And if you think about it, that's kind of how the entire society has been set up. That's part of what the patriarchy is. This belief that men are supposed to be taken care of and everyone else is supposed to serve them. The reason that a lot of them want to get married and have children is so they will have somebody to serve them because they know if they have to do it on their own, they will never make it. So, for those of you who have either been married before and got divorced, and your husband found someone else immediately after he left you, or even if you weren't married necessarily, maybe y'all were just dating for a long time, y'all break up and he's in another relationship the next week. Please hear me when I say that that is not a testament necessarily, because you could have been crazy too, right? There are crazy women out there, but it's not necessarily a testament to who you were. It's often a testament to his knowledge that if I'm not in a relationship with a woman of some kind, I will never make it. I will starve to death. So let me hurry up and get into another relationship so I don't starve to death. Do you understand? So it's not that he fell in love with this woman that quick. It does happen, but I promise you, more often than not, what it is he feared for his life. So when you left, he was like, I got to go somewhere. So he went and he tucked himself up under her. And when she inevitably leaves, he's going to go tuck himself up under somebody else because most of these men cannot stand on their own 2 feet. And it is stunning that you can't, considering that this entire society has been set up for your success. And you might be thinking, well, why do you keep saying that, PTE? Darling, look at history. For all of history, the man had the majority of the power. Women had to fight for every right that they have. And we are still fighting to this day for the rights that they're trying to take away now. Rights that don't change for men no matter where they go. Someone made a good post. Let me see if I can find it really quick while I'm talking. And welcome to everyone. The gist of the post in the event that I can't find it was women are the only gender whose rights change based on her geographical location. So even here in the United States, my rights as a woman change from state to state. Whereas a man, his rights do not change from state to state or country to country. He's a man in America. He's a man in Saudi Arabia. He's a man in Africa. He's a man in Japan. He's a man in Antarctica. He's a man on the moon. Whereas a woman, depending on what society I live in, determines what level of rights and freedoms that I have. So in some societies, I'm allowed to walk around dressed however I want to. I can wear pants. I can wear my hair out. I can wear makeup. I can do whatever I want. And in other societies, if I want to stay free and not go to jail, I need to cover up from head to toe. And the only thing that can be visible on me are my eyes, and that's it. So how is it that as a woman, my rights change depending on where I go in the world versus a man is a man is a man is a man is a man. So forgive me if my sympathy is limited for the person whose rights don't change based on their geographical location. And they don't even see it that way. It doesn't even occur to them how unusual that is, that they can go anywhere in the world and be fine. A woman has to research where she's going to make sure she doesn't accidentally violate a law that is specific to women in that area. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I'm still looking for that tweet, by the way. But I saved so many tweets that I wouldn't be surprised if I can't find it. So I'll keep looking. But it's the entitlement. And I want to speak on that entitlement in another way as well. So, as I move around the city, I often have to stop and like get gas and things like that, right? So, and there's a lot of people who are asking for things. I'll put it that way. What is going on outside the window? Is there a tornado? Anyway, focus, PTE. Oh God, I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Oh, I was talking about entitlement. So I'll pull up to a gas station, right? And there'll be somebody kind of lurking around outside, typically a male. Almost 100% of the time, it's a male. Out of every 10 people who approach me, 9 of them are going to be males, right? And they will see me, and I instantly think to myself, oh God, here we go. Because for whatever reason, they look at me and they hone in, especially if I accidentally make eye contact. But even if I don't make eye contact, they look at me and it's almost like, got one. And I resent that so much, y'all. I cannot tell you how upset it makes me that out of all the people in this parking lot, you saw me pull up and instantly decided, oh, she gonna give me something. I'm leaving with something. I'm leaving here with something. And it's like you see all these other people in the parking lot. You see men in the parking lot. You see a few other women. You see all these other people in the parking lot. But when I pull up, you look at me and go, got them. So now I have to be uncomfortable getting out of my car, walking into the establishment. I hate that these businesses allow people to, I guess you could say, panhandle. I hate that they allow people to panhandle. Found it. Based on, or excuse me, I hate that they allow people to panhandle outside of their front doors. Like, please stop putting your customers through that. Because believe it or not, y'all, in spite of what you may think of me right now, I actually don't like being mean to people. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy having to be that person. And perhaps that's what they see about me. They see that she doesn't like hurting people. She doesn't like disappointing people. She doesn't like breaking people's hearts. She feels sorry for people. She has compassion. She has empathy. She'll give to me if I ask her. I hate that. I hate that people look at me and see that because, for the most part, it's true. I do have compassion. I hate that they see my big heart as something to predate upon. It's almost like predator and prey. And there's something about my face or maybe my overall presentation that just says this is a compassionate, kind hearted woman, in spite of what you may think of me right now doing this live stream. They see that and they just start moving towards me. The entitlement that you think that you can even approach me, the entitlement that you think I need to stop what I'm doing to take the time to tell you no, which I've gotten very good at, by the way. It used to be way harder for me to say no, but not anymore. I've actually gotten extremely proficient at saying, no, thank you, baby, but good luck to you. That's my line. Sorry, baby, can't help you, but good luck to you. I throw the baby in there to kind of soften it a little bit so they don't kill me. Sorry, baby, I can't help you, but good luck to you, okay? No, thank you, baby, but have a blessed day. Be blessed. Go in peace. You know, I can't just say, no, leave me alone. No, get the fuck out my face. I can't say that because I might get killed, right? So I have a very gentle way of saying no, but I still say no, though. I still say no. So let me show you what I was talking about. Let me show you what I found. And this is the tweet. The tweet says feminism exists because a man's rights are universal, but a woman's rights depend on laws, religion, and geography. I'm going to leave this here for a second and I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, um, and I had a thought and it's gone already. Oh, I know what it was. Part of the reason I used to give money is because I felt bad for everybody because this society kind of sucks. And it is very hard. Ooh, sorry, I'm out of breath. It is very hard to survive in this society. It really is. But then, as it relates to men, I started comparing my life to a lot of the men that I know, right? And I've worked very, very, very hard to get where I am today. I have worked harder than almost any man that I know. There's only two that I can think of that are the exception. Only two. Maybe I could find a few more if I really thought long and hard about it, but only two come to mind in my life that I'm aware of that have worked anywhere near as hard as I have to survive. There was a period of time in my life where I cleaned houses to survive. We've never talked about that. I don't think I've ever told you guys that. But for almost 5 years, I cleaned houses to survive. Dirty houses, some of them. Oh, the stories I could tell you. But I was willing to do whatever it took to put food in my mouth, to keep a roof over my head. And I had the show while that happened. Y'all just didn't know. I didn't tell you. Or maybe I did. I don't know. But I was doing Permission to Exist during that time frame. I surely was. So through all that, you know, through all the apartments and renting and coming close to homelessness myself one time in my life before, I have ground my body and my mind and my soul into the ground to survive. I've worked extremely hard and I'm still working hard just to make sure that I'm able to live. No one gives me handouts. I don't get handouts like that. So if I can grind being a woman and everything that women go through, a man should be 10 times more successful than me because the world is set up for his success. I'll give you another example of that. There are 3 young men that I know of who have, the word is matriculated, which means to move up through something. So if you are matriculating through a system, you are moving up and through that system. I know 3 different men, maybe 4, hold on. 4. I know 4 young men, they're all between the ages of 25 and 30, who don't have college degrees, but somehow have been given promotion after promotion after promotion after promotion with nothing. They didn't have to do anything but show up and be themselves. That's all they had to do. And out of those 4, 2 of them are extremely attractive and tall. So don't tell me male privilege doesn't exist. Because if you are a tall, handsome male, people will just give you jobs just because they like you. Just because they have that whole wounded snake, frozen snake thing going on. Wounded bird. They are very good at projecting wounded bird. And women, a lot of us have a natural maternal instinct. So when we see what we believe is a wounded bird, we cannot help but to help it. And that's exactly what they did. And all 4 of them have amazing jobs now that they have not worked anywhere near as hard as I have to have the relatively good job that I have today. No degree, no degree required. Just showed up, was tall, charming, and handsome. And probably about once a year, they promote them for no reason, really, just because they like them. That's it. So, you know, forgive me if my sympathy is limited. Okay. Let's see what else have we covered. I'm looking at my notes. So, another note that I made is men have had a historical legislated head start, meaning for years, women had no rights. Her rights were associated to her father or her husband. And a woman who did not have association with a father or a husband was in danger of death, to be honest with you. She was in danger because men created a society where a woman was not even considered a whole person. And in many men's minds, she's still not. So, for example, there was a time where a woman couldn't get a credit card or a loan unless she had her husband's signature. Things of that nature. Women weren't allowed to inherit property. Their husband could inherit it, but not them. You see? So when we go down the annals of history, we see a consistent pattern of women being suppressed and placed on the bottom simply because they are women, which means men have had a head start. So, why in a society where people just give you jobs without the degree? I've had to get 2 degrees, and people are still rejecting my applications because they don't think I'm qualified. I'm more than qualified for these jobs that I apply for, but they reject them. But a man can come along with no degree and he might even at least get an interview. You see? Oftentimes, men are hired over women because men cannot get pregnant. So, what that means is a man will never have a break in his employment because he's pregnant. Now, he might take paternity leave when his wife or girlfriend gives birth, but he himself does not have to carry the baby, doesn't have to deal with the different conditions and complications sometimes and sickness that comes with being pregnant. He doesn't have to give birth to the child. He does not have to recover from childbirth. He does not have to manage breastfeeding, where, to my understanding, even after the child has stopped breastfeeding, it takes a little while for the breast to stop producing milk. They'll stop eventually, but it takes a little while. So here she is at work with two, I forgot what they're called, but they're designed to basically be pads for your bra to absorb the milk that's leaking out of you while you're sitting in your Zoom meeting, in your Zoom call. Trying to be normal, a woman who just did the most miraculous, dangerous thing she could ever do with her body is now back in the office trying to be normal, while you have never had to do that, ever. You'll never be out for menstrual cramps. You'll never know the embarrassment of accidentally getting a little bit of blood on your clothes because your flow was heavier than you expected. You'll never know anything about that. Your life remains relatively unchanged from the day you're born to the day that you die. And that's why they like to hire men, because men don't have to take time off to have babies. So you have a head start, you have a biological advantage over women, and and this whole society has been structured and set up for your success, and you still didn't make it. That's why I don't give money to homeless men. That's why. Okay? What else? Um, let's talk about the hatefulness for a second. Because as you all saw in the thread that I shared with you, a lot of them became very abusive towards me. And it's sad to say that I'm used to it. Like, if you had caught me in my early 20s, I might have been highly offended. But I'm so used to your verbal abuse, it's not even funny. It actually is kind of sad that I'm accustomed to it. But I'm glad that I noticed it because it's like, see, so the man who's busy verbally abusing me on a Twitter thread because I suggested not giving males money is the same man who's laid up in a house with some woman somewhere right now as we speak. So do you think he's giving her a nice, peaceful, friendly life, or do you think he's giving her hell? So these men sit up in these houses, sit up in society and spew hatred all day, every day. Podcasts, in person, real life, comment threads. Some will find their way to this video and come verbally abuse me for what I'm saying tonight. And these same men want us to have pity and sympathy and mercy for them when they fall on hard times. But a lot of the hard times that these men are experiencing is because of their own choices. I can't tell you, oh, this is deep. I can't tell you how many males I know for a fact. For lack of better words, they were fuck ups, okay? But the men in their family tried to help them. And here's how the men in their family tried to help them. They tried to give them jobs. Sometimes they would let them come stay with them, right? Because the mother has now kicked them out, kicked the son out because he was just too disrespectful and lazy. So the uncle or the whoever was like, okay, let me help. You need a man in your life to show you the way. So the man steps up and takes the boy in, right? Might even put a little money in his pocket, might take him, go get him a suit and a tie and a good pair of shoes. Like, okay, now you look nice for an interview. Doing everything that they can. And the boy still ends up like in prison or jail or something like that. Still can't get it together, just somehow just can't right himself and get on his own 2 feet, even when they have a strong male who is actually willing to take a problem child under their wing. It still doesn't work, you guys. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So a lot of the times when these males are homeless, it's because Their mother has kicked them out because she couldn't take it anymore. And she was lucky to walk away with her life because a lot of them will kill you for that. The male family members try to take the boys. Oh, you're so right. Chat says Uncle Phil in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Chat says you don't know that PTE. Now you sound bitter. What do I sound bitter about, Red? Which part? I don't know which part you're responding to. The male family members, the uncles, the cousins, the brothers, attempt to take the problem child under their wing. Problem child messes that situation up. So then sometimes they'll say, okay, well, go to the military. And they try to send them to the military, thinking that maybe the structure and the discipline of the military will help them turn their lives around. Having that structure, having that discipline, having consequences, having pride in themselves, accomplishing something difficult, making it through boot camp. The military trains on all kinds of different trades. That's the thought process. They wind up getting kicked out of the military. So now they're kicked out of the military. So then they come back to the States or whatever, and they try to get whatever job they can, Walmart, McDonald's, Wendy's, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They mess that up. Ooh, chat says the military is worse because it's a whole bunch of broken men. Interesting. Will you expound on that, please? Please, if you don't mind. Because I don't know, I don't have a lot of military family or friends, so I actually don't have a lot of insight into it. So if you wouldn't mind, I would love just to hear more. But so they come back, right? Now they're 21, 22. They've been kicked out of the military. Their parents won't have them. Male family members won't have them. So their next option is to look for a woman who will let him move in with her, right? And some women do. It happens all the time. We're getting ready to go into the fall and winter. And every year, social media starts warning the women, don't let them come nest with you. It's getting ready to get cold outside, and they're going to need somewhere to nest and rest. Don't let them come nest with you, right? Okay, that doesn't help me, Red. You said that I sound bitter. It said, I don't know that PTE. Now you sound bitter. But then you said, you're going off on men. He's laying up in a woman's house. I think these men are broken. But like a sick animal in the wilderness, they have to portray themselves strong. You're confusing me. I'm confused. So they go to try to find a woman to latch onto. And quite often it works, you guys. She lets him move in with her. Sometimes she falls pregnant with his baby, which is the worst thing that could possibly happen to her, because now he has a permanent claim on her, which basically means he has a permanent home. Where his child is, it's almost like he's entitled to be there with his child. You can't keep a man away from his baby. I know we've heard that before, right? It's wrong to keep a man away from his baby, when in reality, he only had the baby to basically have a permanent connection to a home. Okay? So this is what they do. They're trying to latch on to someone because they know they can't make it by themselves. How many times have we heard of women who have taken these men on, and these women have to apply for jobs for him? They do their assessment tests for them when they, get jobs. She has to let him use her car because he doesn't have one. He wasn't responsible enough to maintain a vehicle. Or maybe he even lost his license and lost his driving privileges. So she lets him drive her car at the risk of him getting caught and the car getting impounded. I know a male who just got his driver's license at age 30. And I wish I was lying to you guys. I wish I was joking. But he literally just got his driver's license at age 30. And what makes it so much worse is that I've actually had the unfortunate experience of having to experience this person's work product, work ethic, or lack thereof. So for me, I'm not surprised that you just now got your license at 30. You don't take anything seriously. You don't take your work seriously. You don't take professionalism seriously. You don't take anything seriously. You don't stand on your own 2 feet. You rely on everyone else to do your work for you. And you still get paid somehow. I'm not sure why, but you still get paid. So I'm not surprised that probably what happened is his friends finally cut him off. His friends probably said, "Hey, look, bro, you're my friend. I don't mind helping you out, but I can't be driving you everywhere, bro. Like, he doesn't have any type of disability, like a visual impairment or any kind of physical impairment that would impair him from driving a vehicle." So his friends probably got tired of taking him everywhere and said, "Bro, I'm sorry. You got to get a license, bro. You got to get a license, man. You got to get your own car. I can't do this anymore." And that's probably what finally prompted him to get one at the big age of 30. I've had my license since I was 16 years old. I turned 16, I think, on a Friday or a Saturday. I was at the DMV on Monday taking my test, the very next Monday, like 2 or 3 days later, taking my test because I wanted my license and I wanted to be able to drive and I wanted to be independent. At that young age is what I wanted. And it's exactly what I did. It never occurred to me not to be. It never occurred to me not to be a driver as soon as they'll let me be a driver. And I ran down there and got my license. So the fact that a person could put it off until age 30 is stunning to me. And for anyone wondering, no, he doesn't live in a walkable city. I'm very aware that there are some places that are so walkable, you don't really need a license because you could either walk to work, you can catch transit, public transit, and actually survive and live a normal life between walking or public transit. You'll be able to get where you need to go. He does not live in a walkable city. He actually lives in a city where you have to have a car. So that tells me he's either been using Uber or Lyft all this time or his friends. And my instinct is telling me it's his friends and his friends cut him off. But anyway, what is this difference? Like, what is this difference in the drive that women have versus the lack of drive that we're starting to see so many men portray? A complete lack of drive. Every woman I know has drive. Every single one of them has drive and has more than one thing going on. And I think it's because instinctually women know that society has not been set up to catch us, in spite of what that commenter earlier that I shared with you said, that he grapes basically female homeless women because he believes that they failed in a society designed for their protection. What protection? So women instinctively know, I have to take care of myself because nobody else will. And that might be biological. That might be a drive that comes from nature. Because we know, for example, if we have a baby, I think all bets are off once we have a baby and our minds go into pure survival mode and say, no matter what, I need to keep myself alive and I need to keep this baby alive. So I'm going to work 3 jobs if I have to. Yeah, I'll take the 12-hour shift. Yeah, I'll take that little part-time job. Yeah, I'll drive for DoorDash a little bit. Yeah. By the way, when I get female DoorDashers, I tip them a little bit more. I have a base tip that basically I tip everyone. But when I see it's a woman that drops off my whatever, I give her an extra dollar or two. Not because she did a better job, but because I know that if a woman is out here delivering for DoorDash, she, number one, is hustling. And number two, probably has children at home that she's trying to take care of and needs the extra support. So I throw a few extra dollars at her just to do my part. Now, I still tip men because I believe in tipping, which is a completely different discussion, but I do believe in tipping. So I still tip men and they get my base tip. But when I see it's a woman, I do give her a few extra dollars, and I think you should too. Let me read some of these comments about the military. It says, young men marry a woman that will mother them, civilian or military. Military members have high levels of DV and assault because they feel entitled to women's bodies. Excuse me. For some men, it's about power. Mm. Makes me think of those cases of women who are turning up dead on military bases. There's one young lady, I can't remember her name, but I can see her face in my mind's eye. And she was a Hispanic young lady. I want to say her name was Vanessa, maybe. But she was unalived, I believe, at Fort Hood. Please don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. It was either Fort Bragg or Fort Hood, something like that. And like her unaliving was covered up, and that her family had to go to great lengths to expose the truth of what happened to her. But a lot of really bad things happen to women in the military. I've heard about that. Um, it says, sadly, I have women in my family that intentionally stunted grown males in my family for some reason. I tried to tell him to get driving lessons, but my grandma tells him he isn't smart enough to do it. Wow. You just triggered a thought for me. When I reflect on my own family, it's been the men who have needed the most support. It's been the men who end up back home with mom and dad more often than not the girls. Once the girls, at least in my family, once we fly the nest, we don't come back. Not on purpose, anyway. We might come back to take care of an aging family member or something like that. But typically, what happens in those cases is we take the excuse me, we take the aging family member into our house, typically. Um, but it's been the men who have struggled the most. And I can't wrap my mind around it. Life has literally been made to be easy for you. Everything is for you. Everything. Literally everything. Down to, for example, for many years, when they were doing crash tests for vehicles, they were only crash testing male crash test dummies. So they didn't have female crash test dummies in the cars. And it was causing women to pass away in car accidents more often than men because the cars were designed around the male body. The cars were literally designed to anticipate the male being in a car accident because, of course, women can't drive, of course, which is why I suppose insurance rates for males are higher because women can't drive, of course, which is why, more often than not, who's getting pulled over for speeding, reckless speeding and endangerment? Males. More often than not. Women do speed, don't get me wrong. But that dangerous speeding that actually gets people killed, like when you're going over 100 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone, stuff like that, typically a male. Anyway, they were designing the cars around the male body. They didn't even consider the female body. Same thing with medical and medicine. For years, they only tested different drugs and things like that, pharmaceuticals on men, and they didn't even consider the female body because they thought women were little men. So they didn't even consider us separate from men. They just considered us a smaller version of a man. So we're out here getting horse tranquilizer strength doses of different drugs because nobody bothered to test it on women to see, will it have any impact on our feminine body, our reproduction, our hormones, things like that. The whole entire world has been set up for you, honey. These tech companies are filled to the brim with men, males. That's why a lot of technology sucks, but that's a different conversation. But it has a lot to do with the fact that men don't have empathy for the end user. They just don't. Their general position is, did it turn on? Yes. Okay, then get out of my face. They don't care about the user interface, user experience, also known as UI, UX. Excuse me, hold on one second. UI, UX. User interface, user experience. The user interface are the buttons that you push, the way that the app is laid out, the things that the app can do or can't do, things that should be logical in the app that don't exist. That's user interface. User experience is how you feel after you've used the app. So if you've ever used an app and you just want to throw your phone across the room because it's broken or it's stupid or it's just annoying, that's because nobody cares about the UI UX. Why don't they care about UI UX? Because that involves empathy. And these tech companies are filled to the brim with males, and males in general lack empathy to the same degree that women do. I promise y'all, if there were more women in tech, our technology would look so different. It would be so much easier to use. You would have way more features and options. You would actually be able to reach out to these companies and probably get a hold of somebody, real customer service. It would be so different. So I highly encourage the ladies listening currently, consider going into tech. We need you. Technology, the tech industry needs more women. We need the viewpoint of more women because our tech is getting dumber and dumber and dumber because so many males are profit driven. They only care about making money and that's it. They don't care how you feel about their product. They just want to make money off of you. And they do, by and large. But it's also why technology has not been very inspirational for many years. The only thing they can ever think to give you is something that's going to sell you something, or somewhere where you as a woman can go sell your body and make money off of your body for the male gaze. And that's it. That's the extent of their creativity. Let's see here. Chat says, the military is the last resort for some men after failed attempts to find employment, earn a paycheck, and free college education after barely making it out of high school. Let's talk about that. Part of the reason I don't give money to homeless men is because a lot of them played around in school, y'all. They played around. They took it as a joke. They didn't do their work. They didn't do their homework. They didn't study. So in not studying, they didn't pass their tests. In not passing their tests, they didn't pass their grade level. So they got held back more often than not. When I was a teacher, I worked with troubled children, and the majority of them were young boys, unfortunately. So out of a class of 30, probably 26 of them were male, and four girls would be in there. And it was stunning. The lack of literacy was stunning. And it wasn't for not trying, because believe me, when I was in there, I was doing everything in my power to close the gap. I had 16-year-olds in the 8th grade. And I used to tell them all the time, you're not going to be stupid in here with me. You're going to learn something. Oh, you're going to learn something. But they were almost fundamentally against the idea of learning. It was almost like they were against the idea of improving themselves. Even at age 16, you 16 years old in the 8th grade, you don't think it's time for you to learn how to read, learn some vocabulary words, learn how to write, put together a reasonable sentence? You don't think that's important, huh? Sir, you are 2 years away from being a grown adult. You need to get it together. I was very hard on them. I was brutal because I understood the world that they were getting ready to go into. And I understood how much of a game it was not. So some of them I think I got through to, but a lot of them didn't make it, y'all. I think a lot of my former students might actually be in jail as we speak. I don't know for a fact because I actually haven't followed up to look and see, but I bet you, if I could find one of my old attendance rosters and just went and just started looking up their names just to see where they are, I guarantee you a good chunk of them are in prison as we speak. But they can't say that no one ever tried to help them, because I went in with the express purpose of saying, okay, up until this point, something has gone very wrong, but I'm here now and I'm a damn good teacher and I'm going to make sure you learn something. So I would try, and I would try to reason with them, and I would try in a non-lecturing way to explain to them how the world worked. But it's almost like their ears are plugged. It's almost like they cover their eyes and they cover their ears and go, la, 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 I can't hear you. No, I'm not going to learn my alphabet. No, I'm not going to learn my ABCs. No, 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 la, 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 la. Nope, I'm not going to learn grammar. Nope, I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want, nope, la, 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 can't hear you. I'm ignoring you. Okay, since you're going to keep bothering me, I'm going to disrupt your class and make you kick me out. That's how opposed I am to learning. That I refuse and I'm going to disrupt your class on purpose so you'll kick me out so I don't have to do this. Then those same young boys grow up and enter the world where even at most fast food restaurants, you have to be able to read a little bit, at least a little bit, because you got to know what package you're opening. If you don't know that RANCH spells ranch, you know what I'm saying? You might put it in the milkshakes. Like you have to be able to read a little bit. It's not optional. And it's not white. It's not white to know how to read. It's just not. How insulting to think that, oh, only white people can read. No, you can read too, and you can probably read better if you actually try. Why do you think we are the lyricists and the musicians, and we're the ones who make all these different songs that are so good that people love? We're very, very good with words when we try, but you've already assigned yourself defeat and said, man, that's some white folks. Some white folks know how to read. Oh, okay. So you're just what, a dumb black kid who's not capable of reading? I don't accept that. I reject that completely. Now sit down and start doing your work before I kick you out of here. I used to tell them all the time. They were like, man, that's how them white folk talk. White folk talk like that. I said, so you can't know both? You can't be bilingual? You can't know slang and proper grammar? What's the problem with that? What's wrong with knowing both? Because I certainly do. I know both quite fluently, actually. And I know how to read, write, speak, and spell in both. So why can't you learn both? You just have to commit to this idea that you're not worthy of language, I guess. I cannot. Okay. I'm about to get triggered. Let me go back over here to these comments. Ah. Mm. Chat says the military used to be made of men who desired to protect something or had something to protect. I think part of the problem is unchecked capitalism. Hmm. Just reading the comments. Mm. It was Vanessa at Fort Hood. Okay, wow. Go memory, go. Chat says while deployed, married people would swap partners. There are so many stories about men marrying women they impregnated or to have comfort. And you're right, it was Vanessa at Fort Hood, and she's not alone. Right. I know a female service member. She refuses to go into it, and I don't pry. Like I'm not a prior, but all she said to me about it once was, "Yeah, a lot of really bad things happened to me in the military, but I don't want to talk about it." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I never asked, I never followed up. I felt like if she ever wanted to tell me what happened to her, she will, but I didn't feel like it was my place to be like, "Girl, what happened? Tell me. What did they do?" Mm-mm. The fact that she made that statement and said, "And I don't want to talk about it," I'm like, "Oh my God, it must have been really, 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 really bad." And I imagine so. When you're on these bases far away from home, may or may not have connection with phones and internet and all that, and it's like 10 girls and 100 guys, I don't imagine that that goes very well often. And I can't imagine what's happening to the local populations where United States military bases are. But I will say this, some of you who had fathers and uncles or whatever in the military, especially back in the day, like the 40s and 50s, you have siblings overseas and you don't know about them. That's all I'll say. You have siblings all over the world and you just don't know that they exist. Let's see here. Chat says boys get treated so much better in school. They would do worse things and still be the favorite. If I ever did that, I would get kicked out. Absolutely. What I witnessed was a lot of coddling of young men, and I refused to coddle them, which is why I would often clash with the administration because the administration would come to me, including the principal, and be like, Miss PTE, why did you fail him? And I would say, I didn't fail him. He didn't pass the test. Would you like to see the answer key compared to his test? And the principal would be like, well, you know he needs to pass in order to go to the next grade. I would say, yeah, I'm very aware. And he's aware of that too. Okay, well, can you just give him some extra work so he can do some makeup work and pull his grade up? Excuse me, pull his grade point average up. And I would say, oh, sure. Can I give it to everybody then? Can I, if I got to give him extra work to pull his GPA up, can I give it to everyone to make it fair and balanced? Well, no, because we don't really want to start that as a trend. We don't want kids to think that they can just come to school and do nothing and then get makeup work and then just move on. I said, oh, you're so close. Woo, you are so close. Mm, you're close. You're real close. So the principal would come to me about a specific male student and be like, can you just give him a little bit of work so he can just take that and just bring his grade point up beyond a D so we can move him to the next grade level and get his 16-year-old ass in the 8th grade out of here? And I would basically refuse, or I would say, okay, well, if I do that for him, then I need to do it for everybody. And the answer would be no, because we don't want them to pick up the bad habit of not doing anything all year and then coming in at the end of the year doing a bunch of makeup work and thinking that's okay to go to the next grade. And I'm like, you are so close to getting it. Oh my God. You are so close. They hated me and I hated them too. It was mutual because I'm like, you are sitting here setting these kids, specifically these male children, you are setting them up for failure. They are going to fail in this society when you coddle them this way, when you make them believe that no matter what they do, they are always protected. And that's why a lot of them become adults who think no matter what I do, I will always be covered and protected by society, no matter what. I can rob, steal, kill, rape, and I'll be covered and I'll always have a place, a nice warm bed to go lay my head in, and hopefully a nice warm woman to lay right next to as well. No matter what I do, I am absolved of responsibility. I am innocent and I am worthy and deserving of protection no matter what. So it starts a lot of times in these schools because they refuse to hold not only the young boys, but these kids, period. But specifically, they refuse to hold these young men accountable, especially if they happen to be a student athlete. Oh, the student athletes. Oh my goodness. Mrs. PTE, can you please do something so he can get his grade up so he can play in the game on Friday? And I don't care if he plays in the game or not. And he would still play regardless of my protest. They would still make it to where he was allowed to play. So what that taught him was I don't have to listen to women. I don't have to listen to authority figures. All I have to do is go cry and play the wounded bird, frozen snake act with the principal who loves me because I'm a charmer. And the principal will come confront Miss PTE and make her do what I want her to do. This is where they're learning this stuff, you guys. They are learning it in school. Often, and at home too, but a lot of times they're learning it at school. They're learning how to be manipulative. They're learning how to be charming. And they've learned how to charm people who easily fall for the wounded bird act. And it works. I don't blame them for doing it because it works. I've seen it over and over and over again. And the teachers who often left, including myself, were those who refused to basically set these kids up for failure for the rest of their life. We refused. We were like, look, if you're not going to have any rules, if you're not going to hold them accountable and teach them accountability and responsibility at a young age, just like we were, why are you acting like we're so far apart in age? We came up through the school system at the same time. We couldn't get away with that kind of stuff. But then again, now that I say that out loud, maybe we could, maybe you could, Mr. Male Principal, but I, as a female student, wasn't allowed to goof off like that. I said to my dad one day, we were talking, just talking in general about something. And I think he was like, I'm so proud of you for going to school and getting your degree and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know what made me say this, but I was like, yeah, I didn't think I had a choice. And he goes, well, you didn't. And it's kind of unfair to share that because I don't remember the conversation or what triggered it or the full context. But basically, what I was saying to him was, I didn't goof off as a child because I didn't even think that I had the option to goof off. I didn't. And keep in mind, when I was little, my parents were not strict with me. I did not get spankings. I wasn't beat. I wasn't hit. I wasn't screamed at. None of that. My parents didn't do any of that to me. But somehow still, I walked away with the understanding as a young girl that I didn't have the option to goof off. I didn't believe that I did. So I didn't. So when I made that comment to my dad as an adult, and I think he was like, yeah, I'm real proud how you went, got your high school diploma and you went on to college and got your degree. And I'm real proud of you. And I was like, well, thank you, Daddy. I was like, I honestly didn't think I had a choice. He goes, well, you didn't. Interesting. So perhaps, that was the same thing in school. The girls weren't allowed to goof off. We did have to do our work. We did have to pass our tests and our assignments. And they didn't have sympathy for us because we were girls. And in their mind, girls already have it so good. So, they're going to be extra hard on us because they believe that we already have life so easy. So we finished school. Meanwhile, the boys that you coddled the whole time are 16 years old in the 8th grade. So, you know what I mean? Oh man, this subject is really deep. How long have we been here? Oh wow, we've been here for an hour and 45 minutes. Good Lord. Check it out. Let's do this. I'm gonna stop here because I've actually made the majority of my high level points, but I will summarize. And there is one more thing I wanted to show before we get out of here. So let me share my screen. Thank you for those of you who tuned in, and thank you for those of you who didn't fall down the being offended rabbit hole, and actually listening to hear what I have to say and hearing my argument. Okay. Back in, when did I publish this? 5 years ago, whenever that was, I guess 2020, it was December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2020. I published a video called Men Need Permission to Exist More Than Anyone Else. And I highly, highly recommend you go check that video out. I'll go ahead and drop a link in the chat for you. Because basically what I'm saying in this video is that men have a lot of struggles in this life because they don't believe that they have permission to exist. And they also don't see and don't realize how other men are taking advantage of them, abusing them, designing systems that crush everybody, but crush men as well. They don't see how when you vote for politicians who don't believe in safety nets, that means that when you fall, there will be nothing to catch you, Mr. Man. So while you think you're punishing the woman by voting against social safety nets that are standard in other countries, by the way, you are also punishing yourself. Because in punishing the woman, you naturally punish yourself because you sit above the woman in our society. So anything that punishes the woman truly punishes you first because it's falling downward. So by the time it has reached the woman, you've already been hit. Don't you understand that? So again, I'll say it again for the listeners in the back. When you, as men, support and vote for and promote males who don't believe in things like social safety nets, food programs, housing programs, universal basic income, universal health care, because you think it's going to protect and support women. Women by your design, are on the bottom of society. Well, that means by the time it has hit the woman, it has already hit you. Don't you see that? So, a lot of men need to understand that they are helping create the very society that is destroying them. They are helping create the very society that has more homeless men on the street than homeless women. They believe things that contribute to the destruction of society. They support men and males, president or not, podcasters who promote ideologies that support the destruction of society. And in that destroying of society, you destroy yourself because, in spite of what you may believe, you are not on the bottom. You are and always have been on the top. But so many of you think you're punishing the woman, and you are, but you are also punishing yourself in the process. And with that, you guys, I'm going to stop there. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to listen to the playback because I believe there was more that I wanted to say, but I just left it out because there's a lot to say and we've already been here 2 hours. So if I come up with a follow-up to this, I will absolutely do another show. But I am very interested in your comments. As always, when I watch the playback, I will read all of your live stream comments. And of course, any comments that are made on the video once it uploads. Do be aware that YouTube recently changed their user interface, user experience. So the comments are a little harder to find now, but they're still there. They're like buried under a whole bunch of other weird stuff. I'm like, would you stop? Y'all keep trying to improve it and you consistently make it worse. Even I couldn't find the comments the other day. I'm like, now where did they put the damn comments? They're underneath a set of recommended videos. So basically, you just have to keep scrolling down and you'll find them, honey. They just can't leave well enough alone. But anyway, with that, I hope I didn't offend you guys too bad. But even if you were offended, I hope I made you think. And I very much look forward to reading all of your comments and having this discussion and continuing this discussion, okay? So take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will talk again soon, okay? Bye.